Here's a quick recap on Clinton Kane's response to Brooke's Who Did I Marry series. They went to the diner for 1 hour, not 4, like Brooke said.
I don't know about y'all, but I'm still Team Brooke, even after Clinton's 50-part response that he just posted. Which I gotta say, Clinton, you responded to all the things that nobody cares about. Like, we needed the juicy stuff, and although you did have a lot of receipts, you were just so slow with the delivery. Brooke was just a little more cunning. Also, I kind of had to log off because the text messages between you and Brooke just felt a little too personal, baby. Like, oof. I'm just waiting for Brooke's response because I honestly couldn't watch Clinton's full series. He was just talking way too slow. Then you also turned the comments off, so we can't even like tussle with you in the comments, which would be the only fun part of this. So like, yeah, Brooke, you have 24 hours, baby. Cause at this point, I just feel like I'm getting gaslit. But the Google Calendar, that was a lot, okay?
Hearts don't fit, even if we love so hard, we know there's no coming back.
Clinton Kane, you outdid yourself. This is crazy. If you missed it, most of him is just being like, we sat at the diner for 1 hour, not 4. You said that you found that out on June 5th. Well, actually, it was June 8th. It's a lot of like just really petty shit like that. The craziest part for me is how he made a whole Google Calendar. I can't get over that. He made a Google Calendar of like every single time that they hung out. Who does? And how do you even like remember that like 2 years later? Also, his point with the whole Google Calendar was just to show that they weren't together every day, but they were together half of the days. If I saw somebody every other day, I would also consider them somebody that I saw pretty much every day. That is like what I would probably say. I would also say we were around each other all the time. I don't know. Also, the whole time it was like he kind of had like a lot of proof, like constantly showing stuff for like every other story, but it felt like it took him so long to get around to talking about like his family and his accent, and when it came around to that, he had no proof. It was all gone. Where was this talk about needing proof like in the videos before that? I don't know. Because I was sitting there the whole time like, okay, when he gets to his mom, like, we're probably gonna see some like birth certificate or some shit. Like, I don't know, but to me it just sounds like he was trying to focus on the little details to ignore the big ones. He reminds me of like the toxic boyfriend we had in high school.
So she said we got pulled over on the way to Joshua Tree, but I actually have receipts that we got pulled over on the way back from Joshua Tree. So she said we went to Mel's Diner and stayed there for 4 hours. But oh boy, do I have receipts that we only stayed there for 1 hour. She said we stayed at one hotel and that I paid $2,000 per night. I actually paid $600 per night for that hotel. Like, how could she say that's an extravagant amount? Like, literally anyone can afford $600 per night. It's not that serious. She said that we always went to these extravagant trips. We literally only went to Joshua Tree, Laguna Beach, and a hotel in San Diego. I don't know where you're from, but where I'm from, these are not extravagant trips. These are just normal trips that literally anyone can take. And I never paid for 7 people at Nobu. Like, I texted her and told her that she was the 4th person coming to that reservation, so I actually only paid for 4 people. Oh, and we can't forget the elephant in the room. She said that we were official before going to the Joshua Tree trip, but I actually have actual receipts that I never called her my girlfriend until after we got back from the trip. Oh, and she said I lied about my mom not being alive on June 6th. That was actually on June 10th. Like, why would I lie about that on June 6th? Like, think about it for a second. So before you accuse someone of lying, please get your facts right.
Honestly, you guys, do him a service. He needs money for therapy.
I watched all of Clinton Kane's 24-part video series in his defense of Brooke Schoolfield's allegations, and I'm going to summarize it for you so you don't have to watch it because, yes, I felt like it was a waste of fucking time, and I was being gaslighted the whole time. I felt like a victim. Okay, let's start. Each of his videos is basically like a response to each of the videos that Brooke made in her recent Tisa series. So we're going to start with the first video. The first video is his response to Brooke's statement that they were together for 7 months. Emphasis on Brooke's response saying they were together for 7 months. Because he says they weren't together for 7 months because they weren't official until June 7th, and then they broke up September 20th. And he provides timestamps, text messages, and receipts showing like he didn't officially ask her to be his girlfriend until June 7th, and then shows text messages that yes, they were broken up in September 20th. In Brooke's defense, I can definitely see how you can say they were together for 7 months, because I consider me and my other half together for 8 years. Because yes, I include the talking stages or even the times that we were broken up, but like we were still talking, and it was alluded that we were still together. So in Brooke's defense, I could understand how she could gather 7 months from the fact beginning the talking stages and in between those breakups off and ons. It's understandable how a girl can come to the consensus of 7 months. They were together for 7 months. They were talking for that long. Doesn't necessarily mean they're official for that long. His second video is debunking her statement on Trisha's podcast, where she basically stated that they spent literally every second together. If anyone knows what a hyperbole is, it means to exaggerate something way farther. So it means like, if I had a million things to fucking do, so I have a million things to do? No, I'm just exaggerating it. Very common to be like, we spent literally every second together. He goes on to deny and debunk these lies by showing text messages showing like, we were not together every single second of the day. Like, here's this day we weren't together. Here's this day we weren't together. That's the second video. The third video is about their Kid Rock fight. In her video, Brooke says that she called Kid Rock hot. And he goes, that's not what the fight was about. It was because you said, I would fuck the shit out of Kid Rock. That's what the fight was about. That's what he wants to address, is like, you're lying. You didn't just say he was hot. You said you fucked the shit out of him. Then he goes on to say about how the fight at his Airbnb was basically caused by Brooke, because he shows his text message showing him trying to be civil and basically expressing how he just felt uncomfortable in the Kid Rock situation, like having his partner saying that they want to fuck the shit out of someone else. Like, get the fuck out of my video. He does show text messages addressing this fight between them two, basically showing how Brooke was taking accountability in the fact that, this fight wouldn't have started if she took consideration for his feelings, and she takes accountability that, she may have some underlying trauma causing her to react this way. And honestly, that's growth right there, to take accountability and saying like, hey, like, I caused this fight. I have some underlying issues I need to work on. I can see where I'm wrong. And I don't know what the point of that video was. His fourth video basically nitpicks errors in Brooke's statements in regards to the Mel's Diner story. So he basically says, Brooke said, we were at Mel's Diner for like 4 hours talking. He goes, we were not there for 4 hours. We were only there for an hour. She's lying. It wasn't 4 hours. It was an hour. Shows timestamps, Ubers, and receipts, basically showing that they were only there for an hour. Then he goes, then she lied about how much the one hotel costed. Brooke said the one hotel costed like several thousands a night. He goes, it was only like $600 a night. And then he goes on to address, and mind you, he's clipping like podcasts where she's like saying these statements and goes to rebuttal what she's saying. So then he goes, he's rebutting my statement how Brooke said on one of these podcasts that he took her on these crazy vacations and bought her like all these things. He said there was no crazy vacations and he did not buy her all these things. They only went on 3 trips: Joshua Tree, Laguna, and a hotel in San Diego. That's the only 3 trips that they went on. And then he goes on to say like another lie that she was saying was basically in her Nobu story in one of these podcasts with like Tana. She said like he would go to like take us to Nobu and pay for like dinner of like 7 people, and he goes on to say it wasn't 7 people, it was 4 people. Just basically nitpicking like little errors that she has in her story. So I guess that makes her like a liar, that she gets certain facts wrong. I don't fucking know. The 5th video is about the story about them moving into an Airbnb together in Marina Del Rey. Brooke claims like they basically kind of like moved in together, and he goes in his story, in his 5th video, that she didn't move in. The purpose was for him to move in. He also rebuttals to the claims that, because Brooke says like he wouldn't let her go home. He says, I have no idea why she would say this. I'd let her leave anytime without any problems. This man in the 5th video makes a whole Google calendar to outline all the days that they were together in Marina Del Rey and all the days that they spent apart, highlighting in red like the days Brooke like slept over, in yellow the days that they just saw each other and like passing or whatever. A whole Google calendar. And when you look at the Google calendar, it's kind of a lot of days that they were together. I could see why I basically moved in with him. He basically sends texts showing the days that they weren't together, showing like they left with no problem. All these text messages are like screenshots and just clips of saying like, oh, like, see, we weren't together this day. See, I let her leave with no problem. If anyone's been in a narcissistic or toxic relationship, text messages are only half of it. Phone calls, in-person interactions, it's a whole different story. Take what you can with a grain of salt. The 6th video is in response to her claim that they were in a committed relationship at Joshua Tree together, which is basically their first trip. Joshua Tree was from June 3rd to June 6th. And if you remember, they weren't official until June 7th. So he's like saying, you're a liar, we weren't in a committed relationship until June 7th, and Joshua Tree was from June 3rd to June 6th. That's that. Clinton's 7th video is in response to Brooke's claims about the driver's license, how he gave like an Australian driver's license, if anyone recalls that story. He says they did not get pulled over on the way to Joshua Tree. That's one fact Brooke got wrong. They actually got pulled over on their way back to LA from Joshua Tree on June 6th. So she got that wrong. They didn't get pulled over on the way there, they got pulled over on the way back. And he shows a text message receipt basically showing him saying, thank you for driving rest of way. Wait, maybe I missed a letter. Anyways, basically shows that she drove on the way back from LA from Joshua Tree to LA. He then goes on to say in his 7th video, he did not give any Australian license. That was a lie. Like, Brooke made that up. He did not give a fake Australian license. If he did, like, he showed, like, here's what the punishment would be if you gave, like, a fake license. We would not be able to come back to LA. Blah, 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 blah. All that. And then he goes on to admit that, yeah, the car was registered to his friend, and he doesn't understand the big deal. What matters that the car is registered to his friend. I can understand Brooke's point of view. If I was misled to believe that that car was yours and it was actually your friend's, I could see the big deal of why it was registered to your friend and not you, because I can see the problem there. I'm going to post part 2 right after this for the remaining 7 videos, but I need to condense it a little bit more because there's just so many facts that are just not needed.
She doesn't even speak English. Doesn't even. First of all, she does speak English. Second of all, this is a very triggering statement.